Madam President, the United States is a beacon of democracy in the world, and our nation was founded on free and fair elections. But if the American people don't have confidence in our elections, we don't have a sustainable democracy. What we saw this past election was confusion and chaos caused by inconsistent standards and last-minute changes to established election laws by state officials and activist judges. But it's not just the chaos from this past election that troubles Americans across the country. For more than a decade, a growing number of Americans have become less confident that their votes were accurately cast and counted. If we want to continue as a thriving democracy, we have to reverse this trend and take action so Americans trust in free and fair elections. There is no other option. That's why I've joined my colleagues in introducing the Save Democracy Act to restore faith in our federal elections and guarantee that voters decide the outcomes of elections, not the courts. And that's why I'm here today to ask my colleagues to join me in passing one specific section of the Save Democracy Act, the Promoting Election Integrity by Proving Voter Identity Act to require voter ID. It's pretty simple. If you want to vote in person, you'll need to bring your current and valid ID. If you want to vote by mail, you'll need to provide a copy of your ID. Like I said, pretty simple and straightforward. We want 100% participation in our elections and 0% fraud. We want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. Voter ID helps us meet that goal. Of course, the Democrats will do anything to fight against these common sense reforms. It's absurd. You have to have an ID to drive a car, board a plane, open a bank account, and pick up a prescription. Do they object to that? Of course not. These are much needed common sense reforms to our election systems. Just look at what's happening in Georgia. Two recent news articles show that President Biden and the Democrats spread lies to pressure companies to boycott Georgia over common sense voting laws. Even the Washington Post gave President Biden 4 Pinocchios for his lies about the Georgia law. Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the 2 articles I have with me today be placed in the record, which outline how much the Democrats have been grossly misleading the public about election reform.
Without objection.
It just goes to show you how out of touch the Democrats really are. All my Republican colleagues and I want to see more Americans vote, and I'm thankful Senators Barrasso and Kramer are joining me with me in this effort today. We want a vibrant democracy where citizens are engaged and participate in government at every level. Sadly, Democrats are refusing to work with us to protect our voting systems. Instead, Democrats want to make it easier to cheat and harder to stop election fraud. That's why the Democrats are pushing H.R. 1, which will perpetuate distrust in our elections, impose anti-democratic mandates, and further erode our country's institutions. H.R. 1 is the most radical piece of voting legislation this nation has ever seen at a time when restoring confidence in elections has never been more important. H.R. 1 removes the most basic safeguards against election fraud. The Democrats' solution to election security is the same as their solution to all problems, a completely inept big government approach that fails at every level.